Ethiopia and Eritrea set to restore diplomatic ties after years of hostility between the two neighboring countries. And South Sudan's former rebel leader, Riek Machar, becomes the country's vice president after a new power-sharing deal. Well, viewers, those are the headlines. Thanks for joining us once again. 9 cabinet ministers, including the new Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Honorable Usainu Dabo, have been sworn into office by the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow. This follows a major cabinet shake-up that saw the departure of 3 ministers and their replacement with new faces. A government spokesperson and the veteran Ada Gay, who is now a permanent secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture, was also sworn in. As we hear in this report by Momodu Jallo, the new cabinet reflects President Barrow's desire to accelerate his development agenda, which has gathered steam in recent months. The new cabinet appointees were officially sworn in at the State House in Banjul.
President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, the veteran political activist and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Usainu Numukunda Dabo, was sworn in as Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs. Mr. Dabo is expected to provide the needed leadership in cabinet to help the President deliver the change he promised Gambians.
As your Vice President, I pledge to spend my every waking moment to help you, our elected leader, pursue the agenda and vision you have outlined for the Gambian people. The Gambia you envision is one that reflects the aspirations of our people in its emphasis on strength in diversity, unity of purpose in pursuit of social justice, and the enthronement of the supremacy of the rule of law.
He will be succeeded at the Foreign Ministry by Mamadou Tangara, who until his appointment was the Gambia's permanent representative to the United Nations. He is expected to consolidate Dabo's track record, which has restored the Gambia's battered image abroad. Several other new faces also took their oaths. The highest profile is Mambure Jai, who returns to the Finance Ministry, a post he once held in the former regime. His track record and experience will come in handy for a man widely respected for getting the job done under challenging circumstances. Ibrahim Asela, the Director General of the Gambia Radio and Television Services, now heads the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure. His exploits at the national broadcaster, where he has left his mark, has earned him praise from colleagues and the public. He is hoping to translate his success at GRTS to the parastatals under his ministry.
I work with a team, but we have to say that we also have other bigger challenges, like the telecom sector. I mean, Gambia, I think, is the most expensive country to call in or call out. Also, we have some of the parastatals that are almost on a life support, like the Gambia Postal Services. But, you know, government, you know, through its wisdom, can help revitalize some of these institutions.
Two relatively new faces, Musa Drame and Haprame Sidibe, were also sworn in. Mr. Sidibe is now Minister of Youth and Sports, whilst Drame, who until his appointment was the presidential advisor, inherits the Ministry of Lands and Regional Government from Lamin Dambu Diba, who moves to the Ministry of Agriculture. The firebrand women's activist, Dr. Aissatou Touré, who is replaced as Minister of Trade, Regional Integration and Employment by Amadou Sane, now takes the reins at the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. Ada Gay also returns to the Agriculture Ministry as Permanent Secretary, whilst Ibrahim Sankare was also sworn in as government spokesman. Mr. Sankare is poised to serve as the government mouthpiece and has set himself ambitious targets already.
My role is to conquer confusion. My role is to eliminate confusion. My role is to eliminate rumor and rumor mongering in this country. That is precisely why I was appointed, so that there will be clarity, there will be transparency, there will be accountability.
Speaking after the ceremony, President Barrow described the process as a fresh start, as he urged Cabinet to renew their commitment to the new Gambia he envisages. He argued that the country cannot move at a snail's pace and called for vigor and seriousness.
Our individual attitudes towards work will reflect on our collective achievements. Hence, we must serve as examples and take positive steps to make major reforms in our institutions to promote transparency and accountability.
The President tasked his ministers to rededicate themselves to the challenging task of nation building, singling out the National Development Plan as his utmost priority.
As a government, we have the singular responsibility to make this country a shining example of development, democracy, rule of law, and peaceful coexistence that would make us a model in the sub-region and beyond. The burden rests on us to manage our newfound democracy. Therefore, it cannot be business as usual.
This new look cabinet, which is a combination of veterans and newcomers, has generated renewed hope and optimism that finally the President has the right team to meet the public expectations. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
You can watch highlights of the swearing-in ceremony of the new Vice President and Cabinet Ministers immediately after this newscast. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Batambedu, has been briefing the press on key undertakings by his ministry, including the long-awaited Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, the Constitutional Review Commission, and the progress made at the Janet Commission of Inquiry. Justice Minister Tambedu also briefed the media on the National Human Rights Commission, criminal justice reform, and the Ministry of Agriculture fertilizer scandal, among others. Seni Marina tells us more.
This is the latest press update by the Attorney General and Justice Minister Abubakar Tambedu. Some pressing issues covered in the media briefing include the fate of the long-awaited Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, the alleged scandal at the Janet Commission, the fertilizer scandal against the former Agriculture Minister, and the establishment of the National Human Rights Commission.
Office of the President did forward to the ministry a report prepared by a panel of investigators into allegations of the unlawful disposal of fertilizers. We are conducting a review of that file. It's been a few months since they gave it to us, but we're not treating the case any differently from any other case.
On the TRRC, the Justice Minister said, after President Barrow's appointment of 11 commissioners, the TRRC is all set to commence sittings in August.
Our objective is to have the Commission start its first sitting in August. Meanwhile, we have been engaged in a series of activities such as the provision of training for media practitioners on Truth Commission reporting.
Speaking on the allegation level against the Commission Counsel Ami Bensouda by its Secretary, Mr. Kuram, Minister Tambedu said the claims are unproven.
I wish to announce that last week, the Secretary to the Commission, Mr. Alhaji Kuram, made a number of allegations against Counsel Ami Bensouda. These allegations have not yet been substantiated. As a result of his actions, and in consultation with the Commission, Mr. Kum's position as Secretary to the Commission has now become untenable under the circumstances. We wish to thank Mr. Kuram for his services and wish him luck in his future endeavors.
Moving on, the Minister said members of the Constitutional Review Commission have also started work and will be acting independently in the execution of their mandate.
They will be conducting their work independently, and therefore all questions about their activities henceforth should be referred to them.
The Attorney General also announced that the forensic examination on the exhumed remains have been conducted with support from Justice Rapid Response.
Preliminary results have positively identified the remains as those of Solo Sandeng and 3 of the December 30th incident. However, these results are still subject to confirmation, which we hope to receive soon.
Meanwhile, at the AG's Chamber and Ministry of Justice, preparation for the setting up of the National Human Rights Commission are at the final stages of implementation. Seni Marina, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, the Commission of Inquiry investigating the recent Faraba Banta incident on Monday held its first sit-ins with the Alcala of the village, giving evidence on the issue. Modu Bajan reports.
This latest Commission of Inquiry is probing into the June 18, 2018 Faraba incident, during which officers of the Police Intervention Unit allegedly gunned down free environmental activists enjoying scores more. Emmanuel Ju is the chairman of the Faraba Commission of Inquiry.
The Faraba Banta Commission of Inquiry, as you know, it was instituted by the head of state. The commissioners were all sworn in on the 5th of July, and the commissioners since then have started working. They have conducted interview, and they did some investigation at Faraba Banta on Friday the 6th, and they were also there on Saturday the 7th of July.
Commissioners also interrogated the Alcalo of Faraba, Noah Kujabi, on a host of matters surrounding the introduction and operation of Julake Sand Mine Company.
And I said the project, the committee is going to benefit from the project because there is going to be employment, and then it's going to boost the economic activity of my community, and then the government is going to benefit from the project. One of the members of the Council of Elders, Malandin Jamba Busanem, and he said he has one doubt, that is, he has been truck driver for 30 years. How can the trucks cannot use the road that went inside the village to go to the quarry? Because of children, and then they will spoil the road.
Noah was further questioned on matters of the unrest, which many blamed on maladministration. While Alcalo Kujabi will reappear before the commission, answers as opposed to more questions are expected to urgently address the Bimot Faraba incident, which led to the resignation of the then Inspector General of Police Landing Kinte. Modu Bajan, GRTS.
The Imam Ratib of Banjul, Al-Hadi Cherno Aliou Maska, and a delegation comprising Council of Muslim Elders continue their peace advocacy campaign in the Central River region. The community outreach program on peace building seeks to engage community and religious leaders across the country. Modula Misane is accompanying the tour party and filing this report.
It's day 2 of the Imam Ratib tour, and the community of Kaur in the Central River region was the first port of call visited by religious leaders as they continue a special nationwide sensitization campaign to communities across provincial Gambia. The community outreach tour on peace building saw the high-powered delegation engaging community leaders, imams, chiefs, and alcalos on the need to preserve national unity and peace during this critical moment of transitional justice to embrace democratic values.
This is a very important mission which we initiated following consultations that we had after the Eid al-Fitr and what is happening in the Gambia at the moment, which is an issue we should address. It has something to do with our relationship amongst ourselves and what is happening in the media, and also what is more important is our relations in the Gambia.
Imam Chernoka's message was anchored on peace in Islam while challenging the citizenry to seek and put Gambia first. Let's encourage and nurture peace as principal actors in our country's endeavor to attain inclusive and sustainable development that enhance national welfare and a great future for the Gambia. Community stakeholders here have been encouraged to revive cultural norms and values to inculcate discipline among young people. Following a successful meeting in Kaur, the delegation traveled to the community of Janjambure, where similar meetings and messages advocating peace and national unity were accorded by the religious leaders.
These are all respected people in the society, and their opinion, they have a voice in the society. And so that was why we had to bring people like this, so that when they get back, they can use their platforms that is available to them, to send this word around.
Another busy day for the Imam Ratib's delegation took the tour party to the town of Bansang for another major meeting with locals in the area. The Bansang meeting concluded the day's activity. Meanwhile, delegates sent by the Imam Ratib have journeyed to Basse to conduct series of meetings, setting the ground for the upcoming peace-building conference with the tour party. Reporting for Grts News, I am Modulamin Sane.
Officials of the Gambia Ports Authority today reappeared before the Commission of Inquiry investigating the financial dealings of former President Jammeh to clarify the €35 million evaluation of GAM Petroleum's 49% shares on the investment and its statement of affairs among other financial transactions. Kumaba was following proceedings and filed in this report.
Top executives of the Gambia Ports Authority continue to deliver evidence at the Commission of Inquiry. Abdullah Tamidu, the Managing Director of Gambia Ports Authority, and former Managing Director Gambia Ports Authority, Modlamin Jiba, were both summoned in connection to the 49% shares on GAM Petroleum investment. Mr. Tamidu told the Commission that after going through the records, he realized that GAM Petroleum's statement of affairs was prepared by Deloitte Associates instead of PKF as he stated in his previous appearance.
Having gone back to the office and looked at our records, I observed that it was actually prepared by Deloitte. So I thought I should come back and clarify that. That is why I came back to the Secretariat to clarify that instead of PKF, it was prepared by Deloitte.
According to Modlamin Jibo, when instructions were given to GPA to buy 10% shares from GAM Petroleum, there was no due diligence as the directive was imposed on them by the office of the former president.
I know when directives were given to us to buy shares, 10% shares at $115 million or so, we were not able to carry out any due diligence on GAM Petroleum.
You were not, sorry?
We were not able to carry out any due diligence.
Why?
Because I think there was a lot of undue pressure for us to comply with the directives. It was imposed on us that we should buy the shares.
Imposed by who?
By us of the president. So, and the time given for us to react was too short. Obviously, we were not in a position to carry out any due diligence.
Ajipenda Sankare is a managing partner at Deloitte Associates. She told the Commission that the statement of affairs was prepared by Deloitte Associates, but the audited report was neither prepared nor signed by her company. The document presented to them were a mere compilation of figures, according to Mrs. Sankare, who further accused that no letter of engagement indicating Deloitte Associates was ever audited for GAM Petroleum.
The document, the questions we asked were, even if Deloitte had done this one, it's not completed because it's not audited, it wasn't signed, even the directors did not sign the document. It did not state what the scope was. It looked more like compilation of figures to just inputted in a template of Deloitte. This is a financial statement template of Deloitte at the time, which I agree to. But when we looked at it, there was nothing confirming that our firm did this for an engagement.
Spain associate Malik Jai and a senior partner of PKF accountant Donald Charles also appeared before the Commission to shed light on the evaluation of GAM Petroleum storage facility. For Grts News, I am Kumbaba.
The National Audit Office has uncovered various financial abnormalities at the Kairouan Area Council. This was disclosed today during an appearance by officials of the Council before the National Assembly Select Committee on Regional and Local Government, Ombudsman and IEC. Madeline Baji reports.
Officials of the Audit Office in their report enumerated series of irregularities in the day-to-day running of the Council. These were uncovered during an audit exercise conducted by the Audit Office for the period 1st January 2016 to 31st December 2017. They include unreconciled canteen registration, non-performance of bank reconciliation, unupdated ledgers and cash books, as well as excess expenditure on fuel.
We noted that the Council did not have a formal method of assessing annual license and rates for taxpayers within the North Bath region. Stock values that determine annual license charges and valuation of residents were based on the discretion of the assessor without using any formal documentation in the assessment process. Implication: there is a risk that the annual license fees, rates and taxes levied on property holders and taxpayers were inappropriately charged or determined. In addition, there is a risk of bias and personal interest in the computation and determination of annual license fees, rates and taxes. During the audit, we noted that receipts amounting to $44,620 were used in collecting revenue, but these receipts were never accounted for in the revenue collector's cash book. We noted that the Director of Finance and the Finance Manager have equal access to the main cash book, hence both officers post receipts and payments in the cash book. Implication: this current practice of handling the cash book by both the Director of Finance and the Finance Manager is a serious internal control lapse.
The auditors noted that such malpractices can result to fraud and misappropriation of funds for personal financial gains. In response, Kerawan Area Council officials promised to take the necessary actions to address the shortcomings. The council is expected to reappear before the deputies tomorrow, where a decision will be made whether or not to adopt their report. Reporting for the news, I am Madeline Baji.
Time now to take our first break. The international news is up next. To stay with us. Welcome back. Ethiopia and Eritrea are set to re-establish diplomatic and trade ties after many years of hostility. Leaders from both countries made the announcement on Sunday during a landmark meeting in Eritrea's capital, Asmara. Susan Monjili tells us more.
Leaders of both countries have met in almost 2 decades. Relations between the two were broken after a border dispute which killed tens of thousands of people in the late 1990s. But even after a 2000 peace deal, Ethiopia refused to accept the final ruling of a border commission which awarded disputed territory to Eritrea. The countries have been on a war footing ever since. But all changed on Sunday.
The wall that was built between our people against their will for the last 20 years needs to be demolished. The war that took the lives of thousands and wasted many years and cost us financially dear has finally become war without death. The holy purpose you have at hand to close this chapter is no doubt.
Congratulations, Dr. Abiy. We are together in the future journey. We will confront challenges and opportunities and win together. Above all, congratulations to the people of Ethiopia and to the people of Eritrea.
Leaders from both countries spoke in one voice, much to the excitement of thousands of Eritreans. The leaders have now agreed to set up embassies in their respective capitals. This means landlocked Ethiopia can now use Eritrean ports on the Red Sea. The renewed ties also mean there will be directs from Ethiopia into Eritrea. Sunday's meeting followed a visit to Addis Ababa by an Eritrean delegation. Prime Minister Abiy says his country will honor the 2002 boundary ruling. Susan Mongeli, CGTN. A
look now at South Sudan's new power sharing deal. The details are set to be disclosed at a meeting in Khartoum in the coming days. Former rebel leader Riek Machar is set to become South Sudan's first vice president again. The latest deal was signed at the weekend in Uganda, overseen by President Yoweri Museveni and Sudan's Omar al-Bashir. Details in the CGTN report.
This is the third round of peace talks intended to bring the two warring factions of South Sudan together. Leaders from both sides are pushing for a power-sharing deal, and they are making headway.
We will be having 4 vice presidents. Of course, the incumbent president will continue. His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar will assume the position of first vice president. The current vice presidents will continue in their position, that is to say, Mr. Tabanding and Mr. Waneiga.
But there are more sticky issues to resolve. Among them, restructuring the country from the current 32 states back to 10, streamlining government, and reorganizing government institutions or departments.
Given that we have signed yesterday the agreement on the remaining issues on the transitional security arrangement and permanent ceasefire, which was a cornerstone, and that cannot be underestimated. We are also hopeful and have a feeling that we will come to some kind of consensus at the end of the day.
The next round of talks will be held in Khartoum in a few days. They will be supported by IGAD, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, a regional body overseeing peace efforts together with development partners. The civil unrest that has been raging on for the last 5 years in the world's youngest nation has claimed tens of thousands of lives. But hopes for a peaceful future are growing as leaders from both sides continue to work on resolving issues on governance and security. Hilary Isiga, CGTN, Entebbe, Central Uganda.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. President Adama Barrow has presided over the swearing-in ceremony of Honorable Ousseynou Dabo as new Vice President of the Gambia, and 9 other ministers following last week's cabinet reshuffle. The Minister of Justice has briefed the press on various commissions of inquiry set up by the government to investigate the alleged human rights abuses and corruption. Ethiopia and Eritrea have agreed to restore diplomatic ties after years of hostility between the two neighboring countries. And South Sudan's former rebel leader, Riek Machar, is set to become the country's first vice president again after a new power-sharing deal. Well, viewers, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, Winifred Nicole, and the entire news team, thanks for your time, and do see you with the RTS.